We all do it. We know the deadline is approaching, and yet we scroll, snack, or clean the kitchen. Anything but the thing we're supposed to do. Why do we procrastinate, even when we know it hurts us? Most of us grow up believing that procrastination is a flaw, that if we're putting something off, it must mean we're lazy, unmotivated, or simply don't care enough. But have you ever noticed? You do care. You think about the task constantly. You might even want to do it, badly, and yet you can't seem to begin. It's not that you don't have the time. You've had entire afternoons open. You've had quiet mornings with nothing pressing. And still, the task stays untouched. This is where most advice falls short. Just get started. Use a timer. Make a to-do list. And maybe you've tried all of that. Maybe you've forced yourself to sit down, open the document, stared at the blank screen. But instead of a clarity, you felt paralyzed. Because procrastination is rarely about the task itself. It's about your relationship to it. It's about the feelings it brings up, the discomfort, the pressure, the self-doubt, that sudden tightness in your chest, the voice that whispers, "What if this isn't good enough? What if I'm not good enough?" And so you scroll, you clean, you rewatch something you've seen a dozen times, not because you're avoiding work, but because you're avoiding pain. Think of procrastination as emotional armor. In the moment, it protects you from fear, from failure, from feelings you haven't made space for. But over time, that armor gets heavy, and the thing you were trying to avoid grows bigger. Understanding this changes everything. It shifts procrastination from being a character flaw to being a message, a signal. Something inside you is asking to be seen. When we procrastinate, we're not avoiding the task. We're avoiding the emotions the task stirs up inside us. And those emotions are rarely random. They're often tied to deeper stories we carry about our worth, our ability, our identity. Sometimes it's fear. Fear of failure. What if I try and I mess it up? Because if we never start, we never fail. And part of us clings to that logic, even if it costs us peace. Fear of judgment. What will people think? That our work, our ideas, our voice will be dismissed, criticized, laughed at. Or even fear of success. A strange but very real fear. What if this works? What if it changes everything? Because success brings visibility, expectations, pressure. Sometimes it feels safer to stay small, unseen. Sometimes we're avoiding shame. Maybe we've failed before, or we're told, explicitly or subtly, that we weren't good enough, that our efforts were almost right, that our best didn't count. And now, every task becomes a quiet test of our value. Finishing it isn't just about completion. It feels like a referendum on who we are. So we delay. We say tomorrow, but what we mean is not until I feel safe. And that's the paradox of procrastination. It looks like self-sabotage, but deep down, it's a form of self-protection. We're not lazy, we're scared, and we're trying, in the only way we know, to protect ourselves from pain we might not even fully understand. But here's the truth. Avoidance may bring temporary relief, but clarity only comes through gentle confrontation, not force, not guilt, but honest, compassionate awareness. Before we continue, please take a second to like this video. It really helps more people discover these ideas. And if you're enjoying this journey into the mysteries of the mind, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss what's coming next. Now, back to the video. So, what does modern psychology actually say about procrastination? According to Dr. Tim Pitchell, a leading researcher on the topic, procrastination isn't a time management problem. It's a mood management problem. When we're faced with a task that triggers discomfort, uncertainty, self-doubt, boredom, fear, our brain wants immediate relief. And the easiest way to get that relief is to avoid the task entirely. Avoidance gives us a short-term reward, a small hit of dopamine. We feel better, for now, but then guilt creeps in. We start to feel behind, stuck, ashamed. And to escape those feelings, we avoid even more. This is what researchers call the procrastination cycle. First, we feel discomfort about the task. Then, we avoid it to feel better. The relief reinforces the behavior, but the task doesn't go away. And now we feel worse. That discomfort grows. And round we go again. Ironically, the more we care about something, the more likely we are to procrastinate on it, because the stakes feel higher, the outcome matters, and the possibility of failing, or even succeeding, starts to feel overwhelming. It's not laziness, it's emotional overload. Procrastination is the mind's way of saying, I don't feel ready, I don't feel safe, I don't know if I can handle this. Understanding this is powerful because it means we can stop blaming ourselves and start listening more closely. The solution isn't to push harder, it's to pause and ask a new question. What am I really feeling right now? When we bring compassion into that moment, everything begins to shift. Sometimes procrastination runs deeper than just avoiding discomfort. It touches something in the unconscious, a quiet resistance to becoming who we might truly be. Carl Jung believed that within each of us lives a shadow, a part of the psyche made up of everything we've rejected, denied, or feared in ourselves. It holds our insecurities, our doubts, our wounds, but also our hidden strengths and potential. And here's the strange truth. The task we keep delaying may be the very thing that asks us to step closer to that shadow. To write the book, share the idea, apply for the job, means being seen, means risking exposure. And for many of us, that feels unbearable, because in being seen, we might also be judged, rejected, misunderstood, but we might also grow, we might change, and that too is terrifying. Existential philosophers like Kierkegaard and Sartre spoke of this fear. They called it angst, the dizzying anxiety of freedom, because every action is a choice, and every choice closes a door. When we act, we define ourselves, we step into responsibility, and can no longer hide in potential. In this sense, procrastination becomes a form of existential protection. If I don't start, I don't have to face what this says about who I am. If I delay, I can still believe in the perfect version of what could be without the risk of it falling short. But potential left untouched slowly becomes a burden. And over time, the fear of becoming who we are can hurt more than the risk of trying. What Jung suggested, and what many spiritual paths echo, is this: wholeness only comes when we turn toward the shadow, not to fight it, but to understand it, to bring it into the light and walk forward with it, not against it. Procrastination then isn't a wall, it's a mirror. If procrastination is rooted in fear, shame, and avoidance, then overcoming it isn't about pushing harder, but about responding more kindly. We don't need stricter routines or louder alarms. We need softer questions. The next time you find yourself avoiding something, try asking, what emotion is this task bringing up for me? Fear? Pressure? Perfectionism? What am I afraid this task might say about me? That I'm not good enough? That I'll be seen and judged? What do I need right now to feel safe enough to begin? Not to finish, just to begin. Maybe it's starting with one sentence, one sketch, one breath. Maybe it's sitting with the discomfort for 5 minutes, not to defeat it, but to remind yourself that it won't destroy you. And maybe it's letting go of the fantasy that your work has to be perfect, that you have to be perfect, because you're not here to be flawless. You're here to be real, to try, to learn, to move. Procrastination doesn't mean you're broken. It means there's a part of you asking to be heard. And when we listen, really listen, we find that we're capable of far more than we thought. Not through force, but through kindness. And sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is to begin, quietly, gently, imperfectly, right where you are. If this spoke to something in you, know that you're not alone. Leave a thought below. Sometimes the smallest comment can be the beginning of someone else's first step. You don't have to do everything today, but you can begin, and that is enough. Thank you for spending this time with me. And if this message stays with you, maybe that's already a beginning. See you in the next video.